Okay, happy November, ladies and gentlemen. This is the man in a black mask, and he's here to talk about an ex-cop who received 4 years in prison and murder for hire plot. Okay, I'm gonna read this article from the New York Times to all of you. I was somehow fascinated with the story because it reminded me just how dumb cops can be, in terms of how they handle things. But this one's really bizarre. Ex-officer who tried to hire a hitman to kill her husband is sentenced. Okay? Valerie Cincinelli, who resigned from the New York Police Department, was given 4 years in prison for seeking to enlist her boyfriend in a double murder for hire scheme. Now, this concerns not only her soon-to-be ex-husband, but also her former stepdaughter. Because remember, that stepdaughter happens to be Valerie's ex-boyfriend. Okay? A former New York City police officer accused of orchestrating a botched murder for hire plot to hire a hitman, no, in which she asked her boyfriend to hire a hitman to kill his teenage daughter and the officer's estranged husband, was sentenced on Friday to 4 years in prison. Now, let me stop for a minute. She's supposed to serve at least 6 more months, given the time that she'd already spent at Rikers Island and MDC, known as the Tombs. Those of you that don't understand MDC, Manhattan Detention Center. Okay? So, get ready for April. She could be let out on parole, on paper, on house arrest. Valerie, keep your nose clean, your eyes open, and your mouth shut if you want to get out of max. Because right now you're in federal lockup, so I watch my ass if I was you. The former officer, Valerie Cincinelli, pleaded guilty in April to obstruction of justice, one of 3 counts she faced in connection with the scheme. Her lawyers had asked a federal judge on Long Island to sentence her to time served. She has been in custody since her May 2019 arrest. Federal prosecutors had sought a 5-year term. She'll have to serve at least half of it before she gets out. Ms. Cincinelli was suspended without pay after her arrest and resigned from the police department in March, the police said. In a sentencing memorandum, federal prosecutors pointed to the violent and specific detail in which Ms. Cincinelli's communications with her boyfriend, who she thought was conspiring with her, but was in fact recording their conversations for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. Ms. Cincinelli's lawyer, James Cousaris, had argued that she did not believe the murder for hire would be carried out. He wrote out in the sentencing memorandum that her boyfriend, John DeRuba, had manipulated her and left her in a broken and compromised state and reported her to the authorities out of desire for revenge. After the sentencing in federal court in Central Islip, New York on Friday, Ms. Cousaris said he was pleased with the sentence, which he felt reflected the judge's understanding of his client's troubled relationship with Mr. DeRuba. Ms. Cincinelli, he added, will be eligible under sentencing rules for release to home confinement in about 5 months. I mean, first I hear 5, then I hear 6. You know how it is. This was a very, very long and emotional journey for everybody, Mr. Cousaris said. A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment. The sentencing concludes a ripped from the tabloid's tale of passion, jealousy, and betrayal. Ms. Cincinelli started dating Mr. DeRuba in around 2017, court filings show, the daughter of a former New York City officer. She served about a decade in the police department, including with the domestic violence unit in Queens. Mr. DeRuba said he was making a living building and flipping houses. So this makes him a real estate broker. The two were soon inseparable, Mr. DeRuba later said. They got matching till death tattoos on their left hands. Well, I guess she can shove it up her ass because now she don't got a man no more. Think about it. Why would you want to date a chick that just tried to have your kid killed? I wouldn't. I'd cut the fucking rope. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck what nobody said. Nobody fucks with my family. That's just like how it is in the mob movies. Nobody fucks with my family. You put out a hit on any of my fucking family members, we're done. You'll be lucky if I don't kill you before you kill my kid. But somebody's going down. End the fucking story, man. In letters filed with the court in advance of sentencing, Ms. Cincinelli's friends and family members said they were suspicious of Mr. DeRuba. whom they described as a con artist who claimed to be a former FBI agent. They said he was possessive and manipulative. Plenty more where that came from, but Cincinelli fucked up and made a bad situation worse. That's why she's locked up. And her man can just deny this whole shit and walk away since he was a victim. To make matters worse, she targeted the man's kid. Definitely a no-no. You don't involve somebody else's child in your scheme. You don't do that. Their relationship grew bumpy. Between late 2017 and early 2018, court filings show, the two sought protective orders against each other. In 2017, Ms. Cincinelli was disciplined by the police department for sharing confidential information with Mr. DeRuba. Another no-no. At the same time, Ms. Cincinelli was embroiled in protracted divorce proceedings with her estranged husband, Isaiah Carvajal Jr. Their relationship itself had been tumultuous. Both parties had restraining orders against the other. In early 2019, she became fixated on Mr. Carvajal's possible claim to her pension, according to Mr. DeRuba and prosecutors following. If I had to guess, that pension was probably related to child support that she would have had to foot every month. I know a lot of you are thinking the same thing. Ms. Cincinelli also grew resentful of Mr. DeRuba's teenage daughter and the expensive gifts he bought her, prosecutors said, in conversations cited by prosecutors from around the time of the attempted hit. Ms. Cincinelli uses graphic language to describe Mr. DeRuba's daughter as sexually promiscuous. She also followed the teen's social media pages. Big no-no, cyber stalking. I gotta admit, I've been cyber stalked before, and I block any motherfucker that cyber stalks me. You know? I don't play that shit. Get the fuck out of my face with that bullshit, dog. What up? Play your fucking game somewhere else. But fuck off when it comes to me. Prosecutors said Ms. Cincinelli asked Mr. DeRuba to hire a hitman to kill them both. In February 2019, she withdrew $7,000 from a local bank and gave it to Mr. DeRuba, who converted the money into gold coins to pay the hitman. Ms. Cincinelli's lawyer said the money was not for a hitman, but a loan to him. Yeah, right. Rather than go through with the scheme, Mr. DeRuba contacted the FBI and became a confidential source. In the months that followed, he recorded his conversations with Ms. Cincinelli as she detailed her wish to have the two murdered and detailed ways to execute the plan and avoid scrutiny from law enforcement. Court filing show. In a recorded conversation from May 2019, played in court Friday, Mr. DeRuba and Ms. Cincinelli discussed his concerns about being questioned by law enforcement after the deaths. He said, "I'm just stressing about it, because it's going to happen," Ms. Cincinelli replied. "You say that every weekend for the past month." The authorities went to lengths to make it appear that the scheme had worked. Court filing show. On May 17, 2019, the Suffolk County Police Department contacted Ms. Cincinelli to say they were investigating Mr. Carvajal's death. An FBI agent posing as the hitman sent Mr. DeRuba a photograph of the supposed crime scene, which he showed to Ms. Cincinelli, according to court filings. Ms. Cincinelli contacted Mr. DeRuba to get their alibis in order and told him to delete their text conversation from his phone, prosecutor said. Now that's where the obstruction of justice charge comes in, and that's why she pled guilty. Later that day, Ms. Cincinelli was taken into custody and charged with use of interstate commerce for murder for hire. And prosecutors dismissed the murder for hire counts as part of her plea. Now that's equivalent to attempted murder. Now, as I have stated in my earlier videos, had that murder for hire plot stuck, guess what? She would have been looking at anywhere from 10 to 20 years. Murder for hire is equivalent to attempted murder. Don't get that shit twisted. So she was lucky that she pled out to obstruction of justice, because that murder for hire charge would have stood. And the shit would have hit the fan as she went to trial. So that son of a bitch is lucky. At the sentencing, prosecutors sought to dispel Ms. Cincinelli's contention that Mr. DeRuba had manipulated her, saying she had repeatedly pushed him to complete the murders. Ms. Cincinelli addressed the court on Friday, her lawyer said, apologizing for any harm she caused. Yeah, well, she should be sorry. You know, she fucked up. Look how many lives she ruined. This would-be double murderer. She not only ruined the lives of her son and her exes, but also her own. Because she wanted to be a fucking gangster. And now she's in federal lockup. They probably got her in isolation or in a special needs unit, you know? Since she has a history in law enforcement, she does qualify for special needs placement. Think about that. And Mr. Deruba, no, Carvajal, you know what I'm saying? He stated that Miss Cincinelli was bipolar. And I agreed with that, you know, because she was prone to violence, Miss Cincinelli. Because think about it. Sometime in 2018 or whatever, I don't know, she was accused of whipping her son with a belt and had a CPS case launched against her. Now, I gotta admit, she definitely did have some problems. I knew she had a problem. I knew she was a fucking problem the minute I read the article. I knew that she was crazy, and I just needed confirmation that she was crazy. And boom, I was right. And I saw her ex-husband's interview in 2020, and that was more telling than anything. More telling than the plot itself. You know? He gave an in-depth interview on his and Cincinelli's relationships, how toxic she was, how verbally and physically abusive and manipulating that she was. The worst was their son. Okay? So that told me right there that Cincinelli wasn't nice to her son. I bet you she'll be nice now that she's in jail. She's definitely getting an extreme makeover. How's that? Think about it. She sounds like somebody who needs an extreme makeover. Carvajal Jr. was right. Thank you, Isaiah, for exposing the truth about your ex-wife. Because obviously she needed help. I mean, whoever did something to her as a kid, she had no excuse for doing what she did. Okay, she fucked up. She tried to have 2 people killed. There's definitely no excuse or explanation for that kind of behavior. So I sure hope that they rule out in your favor when it comes to divorce and custody. Because I feel you deserve both, Mr. Carvajal Jr. This is not your fault. If Valerie had hit you or whatever, again, not your fault. And I sure hope you still have that restraining order. Because she probably would have killed you if she had her way. Just like she did with the others. I know y'all are going to be afraid of your lives, you know, Mr. Carvajal and Deruba. I bet you two are best friends. I hope you're best friends. Because y'all two are victims. Okay, Cincinelli fucked up both y'all lives. Okay? I know y'all two are scared that she's going to have y'all two killed when she gets out of jail. So as long as you got that restraining order, she's not going to do nothing. But get yourself some protection. Because you never know with people like that. They're capable of anything and don't have shit to lose. Okay? They don't got nothing to lose. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Come hell or high water. So please be careful of Valerie. And do whatever's in your power to protect your kids from that piece of shit. Okay? She's crazy. She's fucking crazy. How else can I tell the story? You know? I'm glad Cincinelli's getting help for her bipolar disorder. Like I said earlier, whatever made her the way she is, she has no right. Okay? She has no right to take someone's life just because they piss her off or don't give her the attention that she craves. How fucking dare her, man? People like her give me every excuse not to trust police officers because of the shit that they do and the shit that they engage in. Especially the shit that puts us in grave danger. They can fucking piss and shit all over us and we can't do shit about it. And it gets on my last fucking nerve. You know what I'm talking about? This shit needs to fucking stop, man. Real talk. I mean, how much more can this shit drag on? Especially when we're in the middle of the pandemic. I mean, we're halfway through it, but still, the shit is still continuing. We're still being fucked over for no reason. I mean, come on, get a grip, man. Motherfuckers need to stop. Anyway, thank you for listening to The Man in the Black Mask. I'm glad to have shared my thoughts and my political views on this story with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I love doing this, okay? And I hope to keep doing this for as long as I'm alive. Even if I make a career out of this on YouTube. I hope to God, man, y'all love me some more. So don't forget to like and subscribe and punch that bell to be notified of further tapings, okay? I will tape as much as I can if I can find something. So that's why you need to click that bell so you can be notified pronto, in addition to like and subscribe. So good luck, be well, and have a good day. Okay? And thank you for your service. Happy November. Happy Election Day. And don't forget to cast your votes. Your vote matters.